All right, let's talk about Google. They've just flipped a switch on what is, no joke, the biggest change to search we've seen in a decade. It's called AI overviews. And look, if you don't adapt, you're basically on a fast track to becoming totally invisible. So today, we're going to break down the playbook you absolutely need to win. Let's get right into it.
And we need to be crystal clear about the stakes here. Gartner is projecting that by 2026, your search traffic, well, it's going to plummet by a staggering 25%. Just let that sink in for a second. That means 1 out of every 4 visitors you get from Google today could just vanish. Poof, gone. Why? Because they'll get their answer from the AI and never ever have to click on your link. That's the new reality we're all facing.
You know, the source material just hits the nail on the head with this. The idea that if your brand isn't right there in that AI summary, or at the very least in one of the links directly under it, you're invisible. Just think about that. For that person searching at that exact moment, your business just doesn't exist. The stakes really, truly could not be any higher.
So that really is the million-dollar question, isn't it? How do you get seen? Look, this isn't about fighting the change. You can't. It's about mastering this new system. And that's exactly what we're here to do today, to give you the playbook you need to not just survive, but to actually thrive in this brand new landscape. Okay, first things first, let's get a real handle on just how big and how fast this challenge is. And I'm telling you, this isn't some far-off, distant future thing. The takeover is happening as we speak. And hey, this isn't just a prediction. The data is already rolling in, and it shows the shift is happening. Right now, AI overviews are showing up on 13% of all US desktop searches. We already talked about that 25% projected drop in clicks, but get this, 68% of marketers are already scrambling, reallocating their budgets to deal with this. The smart money is not waiting around, and neither should you. Okay, so if we're gonna win this new game, we have to understand the rules. The best way to think about it is that the AI has its own kind of navigation system, right? It's actively looking for specific signals, road signs, if you will, to decide which sources are the most reliable and authoritative. So let's pop the hood and see how this thing actually works. All right, at the absolute heart of all this is one core concept you have to get, the entity. Now, an entity is not a keyword. It's a thing, a concept. So Apple isn't just a word. Google understands it as a company, but also as a fruit. And it connects it to Steve Jobs and the iPhone and all of that. Your number one goal is to make sure Google sees your brand, your products, and your expertise as these clearly defined, well-understood entities. That's the bedrock, the whole foundation. So how do you become a trusted entity in Google's eyes? Well, it's looking for 4 key trust signals. First up, structured data. This is basically code you add to your site, like an FAQ schema that literally spoon feeds the AI, saying, hey, this is a question and this is the answer. Super simple. Second, authority echoes. Google needs to see the same key facts about you popping up on other reputable sites. It's like hearing a good rumor from multiple trusted friends. Third, there's a freshness bias. For topics like finance or health, Google is all about recent info. It heavily favors content that's been updated in the last 90 days. And finally, clarity and quotability. Is your content super easy to copy and paste? We're talking short sentences, clear stats, and nice clean bullet points. Okay, so now that we understand the AI's navigation system, it's time for our road trip. We're about to walk through your actionable 5-step blueprint for optimizing your content. I want you to think of this like a cross-country drive. Each step we're about to cover is a critical checkpoint on the way to your destination. So here are the 5 checkpoints on our journey. We kick things off with prompt planning. This is where we decide which conversations we want to own. Then it's time for a content refuel to supercharge our pages for the AI. After that, we'll build what's called a corroboration loop to create that undeniable authority. We'll even check out a pretty cool, more technical retrieval shortcut for a direct line to the AI. And finally, we'll use telemetry and tune-ups to make sure we stay way out in front. All right, checkpoint number 1, prompt planning. And listen, before you write a single word, you have got to know which questions you are trying to answer. This is all about mapping the entire universe of customer queries for your topic. I'm talking diving deep into Google's People Also Ask section, scouring Reddit threads, maybe even listening to your own customer service calls. Find out what people are really asking, not just what you think they're asking. Okay, next up, the content refuel. This is all about making your content LLM-friendly. What does that mean? It just means making it super easy for a large language model, the AI, to read and understand. Simple things, right? Add clear author bios to prove your expertise. Format your important data into clean tables that the AI can just lift right out. And of course, use that critical schema markup we talked about to basically spoon feed the AI what your page is about. Now, this next step is absolutely critical. You can't just stand on your own website and shout, "Hey, I'm an authority." It doesn't work that way. Google needs proof from other sources. That's where the corroboration loop comes in. You take your core facts, your key statistics, and you get them published on other reputable sites. Think about putting your data in a press release or sharing a deck on SlideShare. When you do this, you create those authority echoes that Google is actively listening for. Checkpoint 4 gets a little more technical, but trust me, it is a total game changer. It's called the retrieval shortcut. Essentially, what you're doing is creating a special file on your website in a format that AIs can instantly understand. Think of it like a direct API or a private hotline to the AI. It allows Google to query your site for specific facts and get a perfectly formatted answer right back. This is, without a doubt, the ultimate way to make sure the AI gets your info right every single time, straight from the horse's mouth. And finally, our last checkpoint. And this is a big one. This is not a set it and forget it kind of deal. You need ongoing telemetry. What's that? It just means you have to be constantly monitoring your share of voice for those key prompts you're targeting. The moment you see your visibility start to slip, and it will, that's your signal. It's time for a tune-up. Refresh the page, update the data, and get right back in the game. So you might be thinking, okay, this all sounds great in theory, but does it actually work? Well, let's look at a quick case study that shows just how fast you can turn things around when you actually put this blueprint into action. So check this out. There's this SaaS vendor, and their key pricing page just got dropped from AI overviews. They were bleeding traffic. Here's their 2-week comeback story. On day 0, they diagnosed the problem. By day 2, they've already added clear comparison tables and the right schema. On day 5, they create that authority echo by reposting the table on SlideShare. Day 8, they implement that technical retrieval shortcut we talked about. By day 11, Google had recrawled the page, and on day 14, bam, they were back. Their page reappeared in the AI overview, and the result was immediate and incredible. A massive 18% week-over-week jump in signups. This just goes to show you there is a direct, measurable line between getting your AI visibility right and real, tangible business results. Okay, so you've implemented the plan, you're doing the work. Now what? How do you actually track your success and prove the value to your team or your boss? Well, you're going to need a new dashboard because this is a whole new era of search. Yeah, it's time to pretty much forget about old school rank tracking. That's yesterday's news. The new questions, the ones that really matter, are things like, what's our share of voice for our key prompts? How deep is our citation in the AI answer? Are we just getting one sentence, or are we getting a whole paragraph? What's our refresh velocity? Are we actually updating our important content every 90 days? And here's the big one, the one that really matters. What's our AI-sourced pipeline? How much actual revenue is this new visibility driving for the business? All right, we've made it to the checkered flag. Let's do a super quick recap of the entire playbook. 1, map the universe of questions you absolutely have to own. 2, serve up pages that are specifically optimized for LLMs. 3, broadcast those corroborating echoes of your key facts all over the web. 4, if you can, offer that direct retrieval feed. And 5, and this is maybe the most important, never, ever stop monitoring and refreshing. This is all about disciplined, continuous operations. And that really brings us to the final and most critical question. This change isn't going away. It's permanent, and frankly, it's accelerating. The brands that are following this playbook right now, they're not just optimizing for search. They are building a defensive moat around their business in this new AI-first world. So the only question left for you is, will your brand be entrenched safely inside that moat? Or will you be on the outside, completely erased from the conversation?